everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, hi, my name is Jennifer and today we're looking at all the new Hourglass Unlocked palettes. I did pick up all three of them. I picked up the elephant, the tiger, and the butterfly. And we'll get into all three of them. I'll try them on my face. I know I look a little pale because I have on the Hourglass Ambient foundation, the Soft Glow foundation. This is in 2.5. It looks a little mask-like for a while on me and then it warms up. It's odd. Usually I have the opposite problem. Usually things are too deep on me and then they look like yellow or something, but this actually just looks a little pale at first and then like warms as it's on my skin. I don't know. Anyway, but I did want to wear the Hourglass foundation while we're doing an Hourglass look. I do have the Natasha Denona My Dream palette on my eyes and Natasha Denona Natasha on my lips. Which I love, by the way. This is about Hourglass, but I just want to mention. Okay, so I have to say, I love the packaging. It is reminiscent of another brand. We won't go there, but I will say that I really do love the way that it was designed. I think it's gorgeous. I absolutely love it. There's no question about that. I think it's my favorite, definitely my favorite Unlocked ever. The packaging is by illustrator Katie Scott, and you can, on the Hourglass site now, I'm assuming they're going to show up at Sephora and maybe even other places, but on Hourglass right now, you can choose to customize the palette. So you can put the different palettes, the inside, into the different packaging. So you are able to customize them, at least you can on Hourglass. I don't know if that's something they're gonna allow you to do elsewhere. Like, I don't know if that's just an Hourglass thing. I think it's exclusive to Hourglass. So what I'm gonna guess, this is a guess, I don't know. I'm gonna guess that the way that I bought them as they were created, as in the elephant palette, the tiger palette, and the butterfly palette. These are how they'll show up at other retailers if they show up at other retailers. But on Hourglass, you could take the, say, tiger palette and put it in the elephant palette, if that all makes sense. So if you like the shades that are in the tiger palette the most, and I think it is the most, quote, unique compared to the other Hourglass palettes, but you like the elephant, you can do that. You can take that palette and put it in the elephant one on Hourglass. Okay, so if that made any sense. If it totally confused you, I understand, and feel free to ask questions below. Okay, so I'm gonna go through each palette and talk about what's in each palette, and then we will swatch and put them on my face. Now, I have other Hourglass palettes that I'm going to try to compare these to. I think that the butterfly and the elephant look more like other ones than the tiger, but we'll get into it. Okay, so we're going to go with the, quote, traditional elephant, tiger, butterfly. Like I said, this is what it's included in the palette if you just buy them straight and you're not customizing. Here's the elephant palette. And I guess I should do it this way so you can see. I think that's the way that it's set up for the shades. Okay, now I'll read to you which ones are new and which ones are existing. So there's a ambient metallic strobe light, beaming strobe light in Golden Sun. That's new, and that's this shade here. We've got ambient bronzing powder, lustrous bronze light in Bronze Heat. That's this one, and that is new. We have the ambient lighting blush in iridescent coral and radiant rose. We've got coral here, and this is rose, and those are all new. The first two shades are dim light and soft light ambient lighting powders, and those exist in like a lot of different palettes. Okay, so that's the elephant. Now, the tiger, I think, is very different from some other it looks very different because usually the blushes are very pink. You'll see what I'm talking about in a second. Okay, so this is the Tiger. Ambient Lighting Blush in Burnished Glow, which is a warm coral. Okay, and that's this one. So that's actually a blush, and it's a very warm coral shade, which is how it's described. Ambient Lighting Blush in Iridescent Rose, which is this one, and that is not new. We've got Brilliant Glow Strobe Light, which is a translucent peach highlighter, which is that one. That is new. We've got Ambient Metallic Strobe Lighting Powder, Divine Strobe Light, which is a true gold, which is this one. And then we have the Copper Flash Strobe Light, which is this one. And then we have the Transcendent Light, which is a warm sienna, which is this one. All right. Those definitely look deeper to me, but we'll see. All right, then we've got the last, which is the Butterfly one. This looks like the coolest and pinkest. We have the Soft Flush Blush, which is new. That's this one. We have the Sunset Glow Blush, which is Terracotta, which is this one. We have the Celestial Strobe Lighting, which is a Golden Champagne, which is this one. We have the Ethereal Light Lighting Powder, which is not new, which is this one. We have the Diffused Light, which is a warm pale yellow, which is this one. And we've got the Ambient Strobe Lighting Powder in Incandescent Light, which is this one. And as I go through each one, I will talk about which one's new, which ones are old, etc., etc., etc. Okay, so let's go through the elephant. All right, the dim light and the soft light are ones that exist in other palettes. And I have a lot of the other, as I've dropped them all, I have a lot of the others. I pulled the Ambient Lighting Edit the Universe one. That one doesn't have, as far as I could tell, it didn't have any of the shades that are in this one. So this one's separate, this one's different. But the others, the Sculpture and Ghost Unlocked and Ghost all have some of the shades that are in here. There's also a couple of shades that do exist, but I don't have them. So I'll tell you what those are. Okay, so let's start with the finishing powder Dim Light, which I do have. It's a neutral beige. Then we have the Soft Light, which is a pale peach. They're very light because these are finishing powders, so you're not going to really see them very well. Okay, the next shade is a metallic strobe powder in Beaming Strobe Light. This is new, described as Golden Sun. Yeah, that is going to be a very deep golden highlighter, which will be too warm for my skin and too deep for my skin. And then we have the bronzer in Lustrous Bronze Light. This is also new. It's definitely golden in tone. We have the blush in Iridescent Coral, which is new. It's definitely got shimmer to it. And then we have the blush in Radiant Rose. Okay, so that's the elephant palette. Even though this is coral and this is rose, I can tell you they both lean pink The bronzer is a light bronzer. It would probably work on my skin tone, but it's going to be very warm on my skin tone. It's, you know, I tend to like bronzers that are a little bit cooler. This is going to be a very goldeny bronze. And the highlighter, well, it's not a highlighter, it's strobe lighting powder, is a golden shade. And then, of course, dim light and soft light are powders that exist in the other unlocked palettes. Okay, now we're gonna move to Tiger. I'm gonna keep this on my my hand. All right, let's see if there's any that are in both. I don't think there is, but let me just check. So the finishing powders in here, we have one, which is Transcendent Light. Would not work for me, but it would be nice on somebody with a deeper skin tone. That's Transcendent Light. It's described as a warm sienna. The blushes, there's a new one, which is Burnished Glow, which is a warm coral, which is this shade. Wow, that is beautiful. It's got shimmer to it. It's a true, like, I would say it's described as warm coral. I think this is terracotta. I mean, it's pumpkin almost, but it's got a little bit more brown to it than that. It's really pretty. And then the other is Iridescent Rose, which is not a new shade. But it does have the shimmer in it as well. So those are the two blushes in the Tiger versus the two blushes in the Elephant. Then there are 3 metallic strobe powders. So we've got 3 different metallic strobe powders. Okay, the first one is Brilliant Glow Strobe Light. That is new. I don't know if you can see it on me. Let's see if I can build it up. It kind of looks peachy with some like strobe sparkle to it. All right, and then we have Divine Strobe Light, which is a true gold. Make sure I'm getting the right one. Yep. Yep, definitely more gold. And this one has like a little bit more burnished shade to it. And then the last one is Metallic Strobe Powder in Copper Flash Strobe Light. It's like impossible keeping track of all of these. That's a really pretty shade. It would be way too deep on me, but I could see wearing that as eyeshadow because it's gorgeous. So I think you can see that the Tiger is a much warmer palette than the Elephant and deeper. So in the Butterfly, let's see. Let's do the blushes first. We have 2 blushes in here, Soft Flush and Sunset Glow. Soft Flush is new. It's a deep mauve. No, that's really pretty actually. Again, these are all gonna be bright on me, but I like that. Soft Flush, which is a deep mauve. And Sunset Glow, which is described as a terracotta, although I don't see that in the pan, but we'll see. Okay, yeah, actually, it looks pinker in the pan, but it is a little bit more terracotta. I still think it's cooler, obviously a lot cooler than the Tiger. You can see it that way too. Okay. All right, so those are the blushes. Let's see. Let's do finishing powder in Ethereal Light, which is a cool translucent shade. I do not have this one, interestingly enough. I don't know why. Maybe I have it as a single somewhere and I just don't know, because it's entirely possible. This one is basically transparent on me. Like it's like my skin color, pretty much, because I'm very pale. And it does describe it as a cool translucent, so that makes some sense why it meshes into my skin. Okay, so that was the ethereal light. Then there's a finishing powder in diffused light, which is a warm pale yellow. So let's put that here. That's basically the same as the other one, but it is cooler. It's warmer instead of cool. And then the two remaining are a strobe powder in incandescent light and a metallic strobe powder in celestial strobe light. So the strobe powder in incandescent light is an existing shade. It's like a shimmery, it's really hard to say. It's a shimmery, opalescent. It's got like a pearl. It would look really nice as like an overall, like pearl, like glow to your face. I could totally see that. And then the last one, last but not least, is the metallic strobe powder Celestial Strobe Light in gold. It's like a golden champagne, and this one's new. Okay, this is Butterfly. This is Elephant. This is Tiger. Tiger is the warmest and the deepest. Elephant, I would say, is in the middle. And Butterfly is more what would work on me if I was talking about the powders and the lighting powder. Yeah, this is the ethereal light. The strobe lighting. Even though it's a golden champagne, I can get away with it a little bit more than the others. But again, let's twist my arm all the way around. So we've got Butterfly, Elephant, Tiger. Now, I'm not going to try to swatch the lighting powders on my face because you're not going to see anything. I'm pale and it'll just show up as pale, and that's not going to work. However, I am going to use a couple of shades out of here, and let's just see what happens. In the Elephant, there is the bronzing powder. Now it's going to be very warm on me, but let's try it. We'll see what it looks like. So I'll use the bronze from that. I will use the highlighter from the Butterfly, and I'll use the blush in this orangey shade from the Tiger. So I use one from every palette so that you can see what they look like. And at the end, I'll hold them up next to the other unlocked palettes so you can see kind of how they look. Okay, so let's do the bronzer first. Now, like I said, this bronzer is going to be warm on me, but this is the bronzer that's in here. And it's this shade right here. That's the bronzer. And it's the lustrous bronze light. All right, let's see what it does. Like I said, it's going to be warm on me because it's a warm bronzer, but let's see if it's like way too deep for me or... Okay, so it's not too deep. I think this could be made deeper, and I will go over my face in a minute to see how deep we can get it. I'm gonna look a little ridiculous, but I want to see if it can work on like more of a medium skin tone. My skin is pale. I'm fair. They consider me like fair to light, but I'd say for most people trying to like figure out what will work for you, I would describe myself as fair. Okay, so we're gonna try to go in a little deeper with this. Like I said, I'm gonna look a little ridiculous because I'm too pale to build this up, but I want you to see. Yeah, okay. You can go deeper with this. So I'm gonna look really bronzed and a little ridiculous, but it's all for the good of all of you guys out there trying to figure out if you can wear this. So I think you can see that you can build it up. I'm using the Niji Pro as well. This brush is a brush that you can get a lot of pigment with. I think you can see, you can definitely bronze up your skin with this. I don't think you have to be pale. I think this would work up to a medium. I haven't even built it up that much yet. I think this would work up to a medium. What I would say though, guys, is I don't think you could go much deeper than that. And it is described as light. It is described as a bronzing powder, lustrous bronze light. So I don't think it was, I don't think this was meant to be a deeper bronzer, but just so you're aware, I built it up a little bit. I didn't build it up that much. If I build it up too much more, it's gonna look I'm gonna look really ridiculous with the other shades. But I think this would work on a light to medium. I don't think you can go beyond that though. I really don't. I think beyond that, it's just not gonna have enough depth. I will tell you, Hourglass formulas I love. I just don't love these pans. I'm the kind of person who likes to use like a big brush for a lot of things, and I feel like I'm getting it in other pans. I recognize that you can and do it. I'm not saying you can't, but it's one of the reasons it's not my favorite products, because I think the formulas are good, but I like a bigger canvas, if you will, to work with. But anyway, that's the bronzer that's in Elephant. So if you're thinking about the Elephant, because you like the shades that are in there, as you saw on my arm, it's kind of like the medium palette, light medium palette. The Tiger is the deepest and the warmest. This one has warm and cool shades in it. The coral shade that's in here, it doesn't look coral to me. It looks like a pinky coral, and the rose is definitely rose. And then the dim light and the soft light powders that are in here, the lighting powders, they exist in other palettes. But the other four shades, the bronzer, the blushes, and the beaming strobe light in Golden Sun, those are new. So the only things in here that are repeats are these two. And those are the lighting powders in dim light and soft light. The rest are all new. I wouldn't say the blushes though look that different from some of the other blushes that you see in Hourglass, which I'll show you at the end. We'll do comparisons just holding them up. Okay, so in the Butterfly, again, this is just if you don't customize them. In the Butterfly, there are 3 shades that are new, and there are 3 shades that already exist. So this is the least new, because it's 3 and 3. So I'll hold it this way so you can see it. This shade, the finishing powder in Ethereal Light is not new. The Diffuse Light is not new. And the Incandescent Light, which is this one. So these 3 shades are not new. These are all existing shades. The blushes in Soft Flush, the blush in Sunset Glow, and the Metallic Strobe Powder in Celestial Strobe Light are new. And that's the shade I'm going to use today as highlight. I think it will be probably the most flattering of the strobe lights on me, because the others are a little too deep. Actually, even the Elephant I think will be a little too deep. This is gold toned. It is not, it's a warm toned strobe lighting powder. I tend to like something that is more neutral or cool toned, but this is probably, like I said, the one that would work for me out of all the 3 palettes. It's definitely blingy, and I will also say these, in my opinion, these strobe lights do accentuate texture. Now, that's just my take on my skin. Maybe they don't do that on your skin, but on my skin, I noticed that they accentuate texture. That's, again, my personal take on it. Now, the lighting powders, the dim light, the soft light that are in the elephant, the ethereal light, the diffuse light that's in here, and and I just lost the other one, the incandescent light, which is the opalescent pearl shade. Those are shades that work for me really well. The pearl one especially I like. It's this one here. It doesn't look like much, I know, you know, on my skin, because it kind of blends in. You can't really see it on the camera, but it has a really pretty, for my skin tone, it has a really pretty opalescent pearl-like kind of sheen to it, which I think is actually really nice. But again, it's pearlescent, it's light, so it only works if you're going to use it as an all-over on a lighter skin tone, or if you're going to use it as a highlighter on a deeper skin tone. But those three are existing shades. Okay, now Tiger. And like I said, Tiger is the most, I think, different than the other palettes I've seen. And I don't just mean like, you know, versus new versus old colors. I mean, the shades are very different, because a lot of the blushes, in my opinion, in Hourglass tend to go pink. This is the first time I've seen something that looks this orange. So in this one, we have 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah. Okay. So 4 of the shades are new and 2 of the shades exist. The 2 that exist are the incandescent rose, which is this one. The shade already exists. And the transcendent light ambient lighting powder in warm sienna. The transcendent light, this is the lighting powder, and that's described as a warm sienna. That's the one that is like the soft light, the diffused light, the dim light, the incandescent light, all those finishing powders, all those powders that I said that worked on me in the butterfly palette. This is meant for a deeper skin tone. I could use that though, almost as like a bronzer in a way. And let me show you what I mean. Like I said, this shade exists, but this is a lighting powder, and I'm just going to use my Niji brush really quickly. And as you can see, it's a little bit cool toned. So on me, if I go in just a little bit, I can use it as like a contour. Again, it's meant to be a finishing powder for a deeper skin tone, but I can use that one as like a very light bronze / contour kind of shade. It's cooler than the bronzer, so you can see I can use it as a contour. The reason I can use it is because, as you can see, because it's supposed to be like a finishing powder, a lighting powder, I'm using this over the opalescent shade. It's very light in the coverage, so it can diffuse out, so it doesn't, you know, it's not too much on me. I already have too much on my face as it is, but you know what I'm trying to say. So this is definitely meant, in my opinion, for a deeper skin tone. Now, I'm gonna take the new shade, the blush, which is, I forget what they called it again. I think it's Burnished Glow. Let me just make sure I've got the name right. Yeah, Burnished Glow. I have to tell you, this looks like more like terracotta than the blush shade in the butterfly, but whatever. They can call it whatever they like. All right, I'm gonna go in with a very fluffy brush, because this, again, I know I already look a little ridiculous, but I wanna just go in lightly for a second to see if it's something I could even use. And it might not be, it might just be too deep, which is fine. Okay, so if I went in super light, and I mean light, it would still be very pigmented for me, because it's really not meant for my skin tone. But you might like a really deeper blush or pigmented blush, or you just really like the shade. This is gonna build up really easily. And again, I'm gonna make myself look kind of silly here, but I think you can see, and I'm going on in with a super soft brush, guys, how pigmented this is. Yeah. I know, it's way too much for me, but my point is, it's a really gorgeous shade. Now, if I wanted to wear this, what I would probably do is take a brush like this, like a very, very fluffy brush, and either mix it with like one of the powders to like lighten it up, or literally go in just like super, super lightly. I went in light so you could see it, and I knew I was gonna build it up so you guys could tell if you could wear it. I really love the shade. It's beautiful, and it's got a beautiful, beautiful glow to it. It's stunning. Yeah, I really like it. Like I said though, it's a lot on my skin tone, but still, I like it. Okay, so let me show you some of the other palettes and show you why I think the Tiger is so different. All right, so this is the Lighting Edit Universe palette. And you can see this is different because it's got the finishing powder in, this is Infinity as like the bigger, and then you've got the different shades. But see the blush? The blush in here is the Luminous Rose blush. And that's the shade that like, I feel like a lot of these are. I feel like it's like always a rosy blush, or it just feels like that. I mean, I know they're not all, but it seems like it's very similar to the blush that's in the Tiger palette. Not the one I just used, not Pearl Glow, but the other one, which is an iridescent rose. So again, Luminous Rose, this is iridescent rose, but I feel like there was a lot of like, you know, roses and that type of shade in a lot of these. In the Ghost Unlocked palette, again, look at the difference, like how very different these two are, just in the way that they look. Again, the shades in here, the blushes in here are Nude Glow and Mood Flush. So, I mean, you know, very different. But again, it's just a very different color story. The Sculpture palette, and again, you can see like the different, this is just a much cooler, lighter palette. You can see it better if I get a little bit closer. And then the Ghost palette, really different. So the Tiger stands out to me as the warmest and the deepest of all of these, and it's beautiful. I love the color story. Doesn't exactly fit with my coloring, but I still, I think I can use it. I just have to go in with a super light hand. So if I look at these, I would say that there are more similarities between the Elephant, the Butterfly, and the rest of the Hourglass palettes that I own. I think the Tiger one is definitely different. It has a much warmer, much deeper, as you can see on my face, color story. The bronzer in here though that I have on my face, which is, you know, looking a little, it looks kind of ridiculous, is from the Elephant. So even the bronzer in the Elephant is, although described as light, I think can go light medium. If you're pale like me, go in very, very lightly with it and it'll probably be fine. But again, depends. If you're paler than me, it might even be too deep. There isn't another bronzer, so I would say in the Tiger, you could use the finishing powder, but it's a little cooler. You could use it as a bronzer. I might try it and see how it works. I'm glad I have all three of them. I think there's a lot I can do with a lot of these, and I do like the packaging a lot more. I think they're really pretty, and I don't mind having them as just sort of like display so I can see them. Which one you decide to pick up, I think depends on one, your skin tone, your undertones, and then two, you know, what ones you don't already have in your other palettes. And I would say that since you can customize them, like if you love the shades in the Tiger palette, but you want the Elephant, you can do that. You can put them there. So it's not like you have to, you know, you have to have the Tiger palette with the Tiger cover. You can choose on Hourglass. So I would say my favorite is probably going to be the Butterfly, just because I think it's best with my skin tone. And I think the shades are very pretty and I will use it more. But I think the Tiger is more unique, in my opinion. Those are just my thoughts. The formula is good. I like the Hourglass formula. I like the powders. I've always liked the finishing powders that they have. The blushes I think are really beautiful. The strobe powders aren't necessarily they're just not my thing. Like I don't wear, for me, like a blingy, highlighty kind of shade, this is just not something I wear very often, but they work. They're very pigmented. They are exactly what they're described as. They are strobe powders. I just don't generally wear that. But they're finishing powders, they're diffuse light kind of shades. I really love those, and I think they look very nice on. I generally don't reach for these types of palettes, like my Unlocked, my Ghost palettes, because again, I kind of just like having just one big highlighter, like swishing it around. I don't love, I know, it's just me. I'm not, I mean, I get it. This is a preference thing. I don't like taking like a highlighter and having to use a small pan or blush. I like having it a little bit bigger or by itself. That's just me. It has nothing to do with the ability, nothing to do with the formula. Formula is really good. So that's it for today, if that wasn't enough. I know I look very, yeah, this is not a great look for me, but I wanted you to see that the bronzer in the Elephant, I think, can go light to medium. The Tiger palette is definitely more pigmented, and the blush is, I think you can wear it if you're as pale as I am. I just think you have to go very lightly with it, but it's gonna be great for everybody else. And the highlight, the strobe light in the Butterfly is the most pale skin friendly, but you could use the other ones. It just depends on, again, this is preference, what kind of, you know, intensity you like. These can all be used on the eye as well, and I think a lot of the strobe lights and like the blushes, especially this Glow Pro one, I'm gonna use on the eye and I'm gonna love it. So I'm very happy I have all three. I love the packaging. The illustrator did an amazing job. They're really pretty, and I will make sure that they were like in my glass case so I can see them. And I'm likely not to throw, I'm not gonna throw away the boxes either, because they're really cute. One thing to mention about they say they're a 12-month shelf life. I mean, they're powders, so I will probably keep them longer than that, to be very honest with you. But yeah, I think they did a really great job. They say they're all made in Italy, and I can't think of anything else to mention. I'll make sure the price was down below at some point. So if you have any questions for me, though, please put them in the comments below. So thanks so much for joining me today, guys. I really do appreciate it. I hope to see you in another video really soon. Bye.